Welcome everyone! In this video, we are going to be diving into the new season, Adventures Abound. We got the announcement yesterday. I did my initial reaction. So now that the dust has settled, it's been a 24-hour period. Now let's take a closer look at some different things that they rolled out here. We're going to be looking at a few things. PV Poke is not completely updated just yet, so we can't dive quite as deep as I like to for my standards, but we can still look at some things for sure. So I don't want to spoil it. Let's get into it. We're going to start with the big elephant in the room, the nerfs. We're going to go over that a little bit, and then we will look at some big winners, because there are some big winners as well in this video. So we're going to start off with the big elephant. Let's look at the nerfs here. For the Adventures Abound season that was announced yesterday. So those of you who tune in regularly know my stance on unnecessary nerfs, and that, you know, the dust has settled. It's been almost a full 24 hours, and I am still struggling to find a good reason to do this. So my stance, if you're unfamiliar, I don't like unnecessary nerfs. Unless something is objectively broken and absolutely 100% needs to be addressed, yes, okay, let's look at it. Let's look at balancing it out a little bit. That's not what we needed to do with these three. We could have left them where they were, because they were very good Pokemon, not objectively broken. And I really delved really deep into Medicham and Lantern, because those were two of the biggest complaints with the Great League. I showed everyone why they were not objectively broken, especially Medicham. Medicham was slightly above average across the board. In fact, in the in the zeros, it was very much average. It was sitting at a 51% win rate, very slightly above 50%, which is baseline for me and my analysis. And we looked at that in a whole video, and we explored that. So I showed why it wasn't objectively broken. We'll look at it a little bit here, but we're going to focus mostly on Noctowl on this particular segment here. And I also explored Lantern in a full video. Both Medicham and Lantern got their own videos of me objectively demonstrating in real time why they're very good Pokemon and serve a very strong and solid purpose in the meta, and we're certainly not broken and in need of any nerfs whatsoever. So you can go back and check those out if you are curious to really see why this was not necessary and very lazy. I'm going to try and stay upbeat and not go too hard, but I'm going to be real as well and honest with you guys. That's what you will always get from this channel. You're not going to get anything overly hyped. You're going to get honesty and objectivity from this channel, 100%. That is what you will always get. You can guarantee that. So it was lazy. It was absolutely lazy. The reason why it was lazy doing this to these very good Pokemon that did not need to happen was because what they could have done was introduce new meta threats, which not only addresses Pokemon that people are complaining about, but also serves a dual purpose. It addresses them, and it also injects fresh new Pokemon into the meta that makes things more exciting, provides much more variety, and mitigates the rigid RPS feeling that a lot of people were feeling. So they could have gone that route, but they chose not to go that route. They chose not to give us more exciting new meta threats that addresses the Pokemon that people are complaining about. And we all suffer because they damage Pokemon that were very good, very fun to use, very good Pokemon, and they did not introduce any freshness to the meta. Yes, they did some sweeping changes, but the overwhelming majority of those are not gonna be noticed, because the sweeping changes and broad changes that they did are on Pokemon that historically don't have very good stat products. And stat product is king in Go Battle League. If a Pokemon doesn't quite have the stats to compete, it's not going to be used. And when it is used, it's not going to last long enough to leave you feeling fulfilled. Like, yeah, I used a brand new Pokemon. This thing has a new moveset that I've never seen. It's a lot of fun to use, but it goes down in about 5 seconds. So that's what they did, which is not going to lend itself to being an overall fun experience in the long run. Yes, a lot of people are going to be trying these out at the very beginning, as per usual with a new season. But as the season goes on, people will begin to see how those Pokemon that they did some sweeping changes on just don't have the stats, and they don't last very long, which means that they are not very effective. What they could have done was buffed Pokemon that do have the stats that we don't often use, which would have been very refreshing. It would have been fun. It would have shaken up the meta, and it would have addressed the Pokemon that people are complaining about. So what they did with these unnecessary nerfs here, they nerfed Spark. My speculation is that it will now become a bullet punch clone. I can't imagine them making it that much worse, but honestly, it would not surprise me, because after almost a full 24 hours, I've come to the realization that we're dealing with some very extreme, lazy people. That's just the honest truth. They're very extreme and very lazy, so that would not surprise me if they made it even worse than a potential bullet punch clone. So that's what they apparently did with Lantern. It's going to be applying more fast move pressure, but Lantern now loses its 5 cycle. It's going to be, if it is a bullet punch clone, it's going to be 6 sparks to its earliest activating charge move, which would be Surf. And then they nerfed Psychic, targeting Medicham. I would presume that seems most logical, because that's also another Pokemon that a lot of people were complaining about. So they caved there as well, and they went ahead and they nerfed Psychic, which again, I delved into Psychic. It was sitting at 1.63, if I'm correct. That's just off of pure memory. So by nerfing it down to 85, it now goes to, and that's damage per energy, by the way. So it was at 90 and 55, it was at 1.63 off the top of my head. And now, so with this nerf, it goes down to 1.5 damage per energy, which is not nearly as extreme as what they did on Noctowl and perhaps even Lantern. So Medicham ultimately will still feel like Medicham. You're going to feel it in some very niche situations, which we often experience, especially at the highest levels, where perhaps 2 psychics would KO. You might not get that KO in 2. So ultimately, it'll still be in the meta. They didn't completely kill Medicham, thank goodness, because it is a very good Pokemon and is very fun to use. Noctowl was hit really hard here, guys, and that was very, very unnecessary. And one major reason why is because Noctowl already was neutralized and mitigated with the introduction of the buffed ice types from last season. Noctowl usage had dropped off significantly, which is what you can achieve when you do what I preach most on this channel, and that is what? Inject new and exciting meta threats. That's exactly what they did last season, and they knocked it out of the park. They got overwhelming praise from me and others. Noctowl usage dropped off quite a bit, and there was no reason for that to seemingly change with this season, and they went ahead and, as per usual with their very extreme nature, they went even harder on Noctowl, which I was not anticipating the usage changing. It was at a balanced place, but they went ahead and nerfed Sky Attack as well, also targeting Noctowl even further, even after they had achieved what we had all wanted, and that was to decrease that usage with the introduction of the ice types. So again, very unnecessary. because it was already neutralized. Unnecessary, even more so because they're now hurting other Pokemon that have access and rely on Sky Attack, which is another reason why I am against unnecessary nerfs, because when you go in there, they don't seem to like removing moves from a move pool, which I agree with. That opens a whole can of worms that you can't put back in and close up and go back. Once you do something like that, you've set a precedent, so that means you can do it moving forward, and that opens up Pandora's box, which I completely understand. So they don't like doing that. I understand that. But yeah, with Sky Attack, yeah, they messed things up pretty bad with that, because now Skarmory, Altaria, those two come to mind, who also rely on Sky Attack, were not in need of any fixing, and they just completely messed those Pokemon up. So ultimately, Flyers in this season will be all but out of the meta completely, which is another bad idea. You want to completely neutralize a whole typing for what? Because people feel like Noctowl is annoying? How about you already addressed that? So why go further and do this to not only Noctowl, which was fine where it was, and we'll look at that, but also other Pokemon that didn't deserve that. That is bad. That's just very short-sighted and very lazy. What if I enjoy using Flyers? So now I can't use Flyers? Not that I do particularly, but I'm just saying. That's why that's short-sighted and very lazy. So let's look at PvPoke. Okay, so we've got it here. We've got Noctowl in the battle simulation. We've got it set to multi, and we've got it set to the Open Great League. Let's look at Noctowl before they nerfed it. This is one good thing why that PvPoke isn't updated. We can look at it here. Noctowl, my baseline, 50% win rate. For a Pokemon that's pretty average, pretty good, 50% win rate. Noctowl is nowhere near a 50% win rate. It is well below that, in the twos. We're looking at the twos here. It's at a 45% win rate. So we're going to nerf a Pokemon that doesn't even win against 50% of the meta. Wow. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, guys? That makes perfect sense. Let's nerf a Pokemon that doesn't even win up against 50% of the meta. Bad idea. Not only did you do that, you've completely made Noctowl irrelevant. Congratulations. A very good Pokemon otherwise that has a very solid stat product sitting at 2100. That's a solid stat product. Very good. Let's look at the ones here. 45% as well, again, in the ones, not even winning up against 50% of the meta. This is currently, right now, this season of Go Battle League, 45% win rate in the ones, and we're going to completely kill an otherwise good Pokemon. We've already introduced the meta threats, which solve the problem of the overusage, but we're going to go even further and be even more unnecessarily extreme and nerf it even further to make it completely unusable. Congratulations, holy smokes. Now let's look at the zeros. Spoiler alert, it's not much better. Okay, 52% in the zeros, barely above 50%. So that's not in need of any fixing, my friends. Do you see why I lose my mind when they do stuff like this? Unnecessary. Let's have a quick peek at Metacham. We looked at it, and Metacham got its own dedicated video, but since we're here, let's have a quick peek at him. So let's put that onto the twos. We looked at this. 56% win rate in the twos. Okay, so that's a good Pokemon. It's in the mid-range, mid-50s, quite a little bit above 50%. That's not in need of any fixing. The way you fix that is you inject new meta threats, and I proposed that in my Metacham video. I proposed buffing some ghost types to address Metacham, buffing some fairies. We looked at some psychic types that would have been very exciting introductions into the meta, but no, they did not do that. They took the lazy, short-sighted route, and they messed around with Metacham's moveset unnecessarily. If a Pokemon is in the mid-60s or beyond, that would be a broken Pokemon that I would look at addressing a moveset for or nerfing. Medicham is nowhere near being broken. Very good, not broken, which is why this nerf was unnecessary. Let's have a look at the ones. 54%, slightly above 50%. That's not a Pokemon in need of any nerfing or fixing. What you do to address the rampant usage is you address and introduce new meta threats. That's what you do. They did not do that. Let's look at the zeros here from Medicham. 52% again, so not in need of any nerfing. This could have been very easy. We saw a brilliant case study with Noctowl. They introduced new meta threats, and what happened? The Noctowl usage went down. You do that for other Pokemon that people are seeing a lot of and complaining about. Guess what? The usage goes down, and it balances out by adding new meta threats. That is how you fix the problem without implementing these extreme measures and lazy measures. So let's have a look at Lantern here. We looked at Lantern. Lantern got its own video, guys. I delved into this, but we're here. Let's look at it. So Lantern, 52% rate in the twos, slightly above 50%. 50% is baseline. It's slightly above that in the twos. We looked at the ones and zeros. That's what people were feeling. Okay, so it's creeping into broken territory. It's not quite there. It's on the cusp, but not quite there. It's a very, very powerful Pokemon. So the way you call that usage, you bring the new meta threats. We went over that. One of the biggest fixes to Medicham and Lantern that we could have implemented that I highlighted, bring back Trevenant. Let's have Trevenant go back to a 5 cycle before they messed it up by addressing Seed Bomb. I proposed introducing a brand new move. They love introducing brand new moves and slapping them onto every Pokemon known to man, but a Pokemon that would address these two Pokemon quite effectively, they don't do that on. So yeah, I proposed bringing Trevenant back to prominence by putting it back on a 5 cycle with a new potential charge move that also has broad distribution. So you love tacking on moves to every Pokemon known to man. You could have also put that move on other grass types that would have addressed Lantern as well. But did they do that? No, they did not. Trevenant did not receive any attention whatsoever, to be exact. Let's look at the zeros. So the zeros are the same. So yeah, Lantern, very strong Pokemon. That's good. We want very strong Pokemon that are fun to use. Let's just introduce the meta threats. That's what they did not do. And they know how to do it, so it's not like they don't know how to do this. They did it with Noctowl, and it solved the problem. So why didn't we do this for these two? Because they're lazy and short-sighted. That's why. So those are the unnecessary nerfs that are gonna for sure have some adverse effects on the league. Now let's look more on the bright side. Let's look at some big winners that we are gonna see this season. All right, guys, we are looking at some big winners with Breaking Swipe. Holy smokes, this is very exciting. Now, let's look on the bright side here a little bit. We've got some big winners here with Breaking Swipe, most notably Heliolisk. Holy smokes, my goodness. Oh my gosh, if you go in and look at the win rate on Heliolisk, oh my goodness, it has shot up to the moon. Oh my gosh, this thing is very exciting. Thank goodness I hung on to two very highly ranked, one for the Ultra and one for Great. So I'm good on Heliolisk. I'm very excited for this thing, and I know a lot of you are as well. So the win rate goes up to a insane win rate. Borderline broken, but I'm going to have some fun with this thing anyways. I don't, look, it's borderline broken. I want to have some fun with it. My goodness, this is exciting. I'm just typing it in here. So the win rate goes from, let's see here. What is it? What do we have on here? Thunderbolt. Okay. So right now it's at a 30% win rate in the ones in the Great League. It is at a 34% win rate with its current moveset. We put Breaking Swipe on this thing, and oh my goodness, 60% win rate in the twos. I'm excited for this thing. This is what I like to see. A shake up in the meta. This is going to be a fun Pokemon. It's not known for its bulk, but as we see with Pokemon like Haxorus, that Breaking Swipe debuff can mitigate that quite nicely. So 60% win rate in the twos and a 53% win rate. That is a massive improvement for this Pokemon in the ones. So this thing is now going to be very solid meta in the Great League. I didn't look at the Ultra, but I suspect it's going to be very similar there as well. So big win for this thing getting Breaking Swipe. That's very exciting. It's going to have play up against Carbink with Grass Knot. Is that what it learns? Let me see here. Yes, Grass Knot. So that's the better one. And so yeah, going to have play up against Carbink. This thing is going to be very fun to use. So yeah, exciting for that, getting Breaking Swipe. And Steelix right next to it. This is actually a slight side grade, but definitely an improvement on Steelix. So this is also very exciting. We'll see how it does up against opposing steel types and fairies. I'm not sure it's going to affect that too much. It could have benefited from more variety in its fast move pool as well, but there isn't a whole lot to choose from. I did propose introducing a brand new rock type fast move, which it can learn coming in the form of Sandstorm. I wanted to make that a wing attack / Vine Whip clone, but doing rock type damage. If they had done that, that would have been very exciting as well, but we'll settle for Breaking Swipe. It's an improvement. So yeah, very exciting for Steelix as well. And we've got some Pokemon that are also benefiting from it. I don't know to what extent. I don't know how impactful it will be, but still very interesting on them, and that being Sceptile, Rhydon, and Rhyperior. So in the top right corner here, this is where I think they missed the mark a little bit. Kingdra and Melodic would have definitely benefited from Breaking Swipe, perhaps more than anything that we see here on the screen, and would have been more impactful. Not that Heliolisk is not impactful, very much so impactful. The win rate has shot up through the roof. But these are two. Kingdra and Melodic would have also definitely benefited from a Breaking Swipe injection. And I think that would have spiced and shake things up, both for the Ultra League and for the Great League. So they missed the mark there. I would have taken those two over everything else that got it, excluding these two in the blue box here. So you could have not put it on everything else that we saw get put on, excluding these two in the blue box, and put it on those two, and I would have been extremely happy to see that. But missed the mark there. But my goodness, Heliolisk, a big winner from Breaking Swipe, Onyx or Steelix as well. So let's look at some more big winners here. All right, looking at some more big winners. We've got the 3 new moves that they have introduced. I went over that yesterday. I don't want to drag this thing on any longer than it already is. But we're looking at Trailblaze. This thing is now a flame charge clone. So if you're familiar with Talonflame, that seems to be the most prominent Flame Charge user. You'll know what this move is all about, but it does grass type damage. So we've got some big winners here. They put it on others, but those are seemingly inconsequential, just a little bit of fluff, as I went over yesterday. But these are the ones that stand out the most. Ampharos getting Trailblaze is going to be very interesting. It can now hit Swampert, one of its nightmare threats in both the Great and Ultra League. So being able to have that play up against ground types like Swampert is going to be very, very nice on Ampharos. I like Ampharos. I enjoy Ampharos. So this is a big win for Ampharos. I think it's actually going to benefit the most from Trailblaze. And then we've got Sudowoodo now getting some much needed water and ground coverage in the form of Trailblaze. Oh my gosh, being able to guarantee raise your attack on a move like Counter, sign me up. That's going to be a lot of fun to use. another very big winner. Same goes for Lycanroc. Very similar dynamic with Lycanroc as we see with Sudowoodo. And Skuntank. This might be a bit of a side grade. It's going to be very awkward to have to choose between this, Flamethrower, and Crunch with Stab. Also has Sludge Bomb. So we've got a lot more variety coming with Trailblaze into its charge move pool. That's going to come down to team comp and what supports your specific team comp most. So very interesting. I love variety. I'm all about more variety. That's what's going to break up the rigidity and the RPS feeling. So awesome. Those are some notable big winners from Trailblaze. And then we've got Triple Axle. Doesn't have the greatest distribution, but these are some big winners that stood out to me. Hitmontop, going to be very interesting to see on this thing. It's going to get to this in how many counters? 7 counters. So still a little high to get to this move. It has okay bulk, about average bulk in the Great League. This is going to be very interesting. It already has Stone Edge, but that's going to take a lot longer to get to hit those flyers. So having a new move that it can get to a little bit faster is going to very much improve this Pokemon. So a big winner, perhaps the biggest winner on Triple Axle. And then we've got Gardevoir and Lopunny. Gardevoir, I think, will benefit from this very much. It also got Magical Leaf, but I don't think you're going to want to go that route. You're still going to want that charm with Stab, and adding Triple Axle in the place of Synchronoise is going to help out Gardevoir a little bit more than it was previously. And Lopunny getting this is very interesting. Another, I think, so you won't be using Focus Blast anymore. That seems to be the most logical route. You could not go with Fire Punch and run this as well. But I think you just want Fire Punch, a fast activating charge move, and you'll want to go Triple Axle on this. So very interesting on Lopunny as well. And then we've got Scorching Sands. These are ones that stood out the most to me. Again, not the broadest distribution. They put it on others, but those don't seem that they will be all that impactful or consequential. Just a lot of fluff. As a whole with this update, which I went over yesterday. But these are ones that really stood out most to me. First and foremost being K9, Kanto Ninetales, the original Ninetales. This is a massive improvement for it. It can now hit those strong rock types like Bastiodon and Carbink a lot harder. Still going to be taking that super effective fast move pressure, but it has the bulk to hang in there and at least get off one of these. It's going to come down to the shielding scenario, but it can at least get off one of these and fight back against those two very bulky rock types. So a win for Kanto Ninetales. Flygon's also going to be benefiting from this brand new move. It's 80 power. I suspect, okay, so yeah, it's a Scald clone, so it's going to be 80 damage, 50 energy cost, and 30% chance to lower attack by 1 stage. That is a strict upgrade for Flygon. Unfortunate because we're basically negating a Community Day Earth Power. But still very, very good on Flygon. I hope to use it quite a bit myself. Big win, strict upgrade for Kanto Sandslash as well. We're buffing these ground types, which is very nice. Ground types were in need of a buff. We started off with those Mud Boys last season, and we're buffing pure ground types here. So very cool. A strict upgrade is just going to be very spammy, much like with Flygon running Mud Shot. It'll get to these in 6. Very, very good. 6 and 5, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. That's just off the top of my head. So very spammy on these two Pokemon, Flygon and Sandslash. Diggersby, this is going to be a strict upgrade. They nerfed Earthquake, which was a very expensive move. So now being able to get to this and having eradicated all the flyers, Diggersby is going to thrive in this new meta here. So very exciting. I've been wanting Diggersby to get some attention for a long time. I think that Rock Slide would have been very fitting. We threw Body Slam onto another bulky normal type. Body Slam would have been interesting to see on Diggersby as well. But I'll settle for Scorching Sands. It's going to be a lot more spammy. Again, another Mudshot user getting to this move with Stab a lot faster. And then another Spice one here, Spice Pick and Arcanine getting this. It has Bulldoze, so this is a strict upgrade if you want that steel coverage or poison coverage. You would just go with Scorching Sands 100%. So that's going to be very interesting. I'm going to have a lot of fun with Diggersby. I'm going to have a lot of fun with all of these getting Scorching Sands. These are the ones that stood out the most to me. These are the big winners for Scorching Sands, Triple Axle, and Trailblaze. Very exciting for these. So let's see how it goes with these big winners. And then we'll round it out with the Mudshot ones. All right, rounding everything out, we've got the final round of big winners. We've got Mudshot big winners. Oh my goodness. They went ahead and put Mudshot on Diggersby, a Body Slam user. Oh my gosh. Oh, this is going to be very exciting. I've got a rank 1 for Great League and a rank 8 XL for Ultra. So I am good on Greenan. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so fun. It doesn't change a whole lot, kind of a side grade, but my goodness, a fun side grade. I think this is going to be preferred because running a 2-turn fast move, you're able to time your moves a lot better, and you have an advantage over a Pokemon with a 3 or 4-turn fast move. You can catch easily and time things a lot better. So this is there's more beneath the surface than just being a side grade. This is an upgrade. This is a big winner here. Mudshot Body Slam spam is going to be insane. Holy smokes, and a lot of fun. I cannot wait to run my rank 1 in the Great League and my XL rank 8 in the Ultra. That's going to be a lot of fun. Big props to them for that. That was fun. And it'll be interesting to see that because, again, I proposed putting Body Slam on another bulky Mudshot user that would have Stab, and that being Diggersby. So we're setting a precedent here. Maybe we can set the stage for Diggersby perhaps getting Body Slam in the future. So big win for Greedent. And then Swalot, also a big winner. Anything that you could do to this thing is an improvement. It was running Infestation, which is a Hex clone, so not the worst, but it only has nuke moves. So being able to do that with a 2-turn Mudshot that generates energy quite fast is a massive improvement on this Pokemon. Quite bulky as well, has a very decent stat product, so very exciting for Swalot. It'll be able to get to those sludge bombs and ice beams quite a bit faster. Being able to hit Carbink a lot harder is going to be very, very nice because Carbink is going to be everywhere. So these are the 2 big winners. Toxicroak also got Mudshot, but I don't think you're going to want to use that. So that's a little bit more fluff as we saw in this entire update. Most of what they did was a lot of fluff that will go unused and unnoticed. So yeah, you're not going to want to use Mudshot on Toxicroak. You'll still want to go with Counter. But yeah, these are the ones that stuck out the most to me. These are the big winners for Mudshot, and it is very, very exciting. So that about wraps it up, guys. Again, PvPoke's still not updated. It's looking like it's going to be Friday or later. So we don't have the full picture, but again, as we did in this video, we can still look at things and have a closer examination. So those are the big winners. Those are the adverse effects of the unnecessary nerfs. Guys, I had a blast. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, I thank you for watching and keep up the grind. Thank you, guys.